Welcome, one and all. Let me take you back to a simpler time. A time when games were much cheaper to make. And whether it be your favourite TV show, movie, or even toy line, you could probably get a video game based on it. Some of them, meh, but some were very good. And I loved The Simpsons. Still do. Over the past few months, I've gathered all of the Simpsons PlayStation games. I've been giving them a play. I'm going to let you know about all 5. And in no particular order, I want to begin nice and quickly with The Simpsons Wrestling on the original PlayStation. I like a big budget AAA game as much as everybody else. But sometimes, especially when I'm looking at retro games, I can look past all of that and I just want something that's going to be fun. So when I managed to pick up, for £4 off eBay with free postage, The Simpsons Wrestling for the PlayStation 1, I figured it can't be bad, can it? I still like The Simpsons. Is it as good as it used to be? No. Is it still funny? Well, I think so. And I enjoyed Hit and Run. I know it's not going to be as good as that, but it'll be a giggle. Why don't we play a couple of matches and see if it is any fun or if it's just licensed shelf fodder. Right, so here we are then. I've decided to go ahead and play as Homer. He is one of my favourites after all, and it's randomly matched us up with Bumblebee Man. Let's see if he has a true sting in his tail. And right away, he seems to have a chihuahua chasing me. See what we can do here. I'm pretty much button mashing, to be honest with you, because I had a quick look in the manual at the controls. I've got a rough idea, but I'm not too sure what I'm doing. That's just your general sort of... Oh, jumping's quite good. Considering Homer's meant to be as big as he is, that's a good jumping. It gives hope to me. Maybe I could jump high too. Maybe not. Oh, okay, right. Rope attack. Didn't do that very well. He's got a yo-yo. If you look at the bars next to the characters, the purple one, the higher it goes, it seems to be, the more moves I can get, and it tells you what buttons you can press, which is quite handy. Obviously, it's health underneath. So, what's that that's popped up? Letter. Right, when you collect all the letters for taunts, you get a special thing. We'll try and get that. Jump around a little bit. Trying to do the off-the-rope attack's quite difficult. I wish he'd stop jumping around so much, you know. That's one thing that I'm not too keen on. I know that wrestlers do like drop kicks and things, but jumping up to the ceiling and back's not brilliant. Also, graphically, I've got to say, this is a PlayStation 1 game, so it's very early 3D graphics. I don't think it's bad for what it is. You have to take it for what we're playing as. Oh, sorry, what hardware we're playing on, I should say. And I'm quite impressed, actually. I mean, it's running smooth. There seems to be no lag or anything. The background's okay. Obviously, we're on the Krusty show. I noticed when we got a little bit closer to the audience, they were very two-dimensional. But, again, taking into account the hardware we're playing, yeah, so far so good. If only I could actually get hold of this guy and do something. Come here, come here, come here. Well, I think if he jumps at me, I'm just going to jump at him to try and stop him getting me. I like that, a little combination. Oh, I got the taunt. Right, so that made me invincible. That's quite handy. Especially as he seems to be beating me at the minute. If you look at my health bar, the green bar. Stop jumping, you... This is getting a wee bit frustrating. Come here. Come here. Take your kicking. One thing I will say from the start off, so you can grapple, but I've tried a few times and it's very difficult. There's not an actual amount of wrestling moves. I'm not sure that wrestling's the best description. More should just be fighting. Oh, he's pinned me. Come on, get up. Get up. Come on, Homer. Come on, Homer. Ah, lost.
Hey, folks, how about some good old-fashioned violence? Excuse me while I beat you silly, Mr. Krusty. And please come again.
Right, I've had a little practice, so I should be a bit better now. So let's go right in here with Krusty's special move, which seems to be his big hammer. I like that. I do think that this is very good as a fan service. You got to remember, The Simpsons was our absolute most popular here, or close to it. I assume it's the original voice actors, and yeah, just little touches there. If you like The Simpsons, get some of your favourite characters' catchphrases and things. So, oh, there we go. That's a nice little combo. Press square a few times and it does the hammer. More jumping as before. I think I was approaching it expecting it to be a bit like the early WWF games that I used to play on the PlayStation 1, which was probably a bit silly really, because it is The Simpsons. It's going to be more a bit of a bash and crash and giggle. So let's go with that approach. Come here, I've got my hammer. Squish you. Nope, okay. Ah, look at that. Should I pin him now? Too late. Just carry on beating his health down. Now I've had a couple more goes off camera, I'm enjoying it a lot more now I know what I'm doing. Trying to get in there straight away, just having glanced at the instruction manual, was probably a little bit too much, but I wanted to give a first reaction. Probably ended up me being more waffle than anything else, but still. Oh, I've got a grapple. So if you grapple and press square, again it's off the ropes like it was with Homer. I need to learn a bit more about what you can do when they're bouncing off the ropes, perhaps. Come here. Ah, I got my hammer. Special move. Not the easiest to control, but funny to watch. Look at him go. I know the voices are a bit repetitive and they keep saying the same things now and again, but it's early PlayStation 1 tech, so I don't mind that. The thing with retro gaming is always appreciate what you've got. That was a good little jibe. Sorry I talked over that, but you probably heard it. And now I'm invincible. Right, come here. Let me get you a kicking before I lose more health. Krusty will win. That's a nice little spinning move when you jump. That was triangle, that was. I think triangle's a bit of a stronger attack. That's why you have to build your meter up to get it. Oh, I'm down. That isn't going to work. Come on, that's not going to work. Don't! I might need a little bit more practice. But that was fun. Let's have a chat. So what do we think? Apart from the fact that I'm not very good at the game. Well, I'm mixed. I feel for £4 I've definitely got my money's worth. If I bought this for full price back in the day, I wouldn't necessarily be impressed. At the end of the day, it depends how much you're attached to the franchise. I like the little quips from the characters, although yes, they do repeat the same things over and over. I like the fact that I'm playing in the Springfield world. It amused me. Will I pick it up and play it again? Yes. Am I going to play it for hours? Absolutely not. Probably half an hour or so, here or there, just for a little bit of fun. I personally think you'll get the most fun out of this playing it two-player. Yeah, in the same room, sitting next to each other, and just choosing your favourite Springfield character and beating each other. That, to me, is probably where this lies. I'd love to show you me doing that, but I don't have any friends. Moving on, it's a bit of a giggle. I like the IP, so to me, I'm glad I've got this in the collection. But what do you think? Is it just licensed fodder, bit of a cash grab from back in the day? Or is it a game which is admittedly flawed, but still fun and enjoyable? When I say to you, Simpsons driving game, I dare say your mind instantly goes to Radical Entertainment's stupendous The Simpsons Hit and Run. But what if I was to tell you the same studio made a driving game before it? 2 years before, actually. With The Simpsons Road Rage. You may have heard of it. You probably haven't played it. Let me tell you a little bit so you can decide if you want to.
Get him!
Now, the first thing I need to tell you is that if you've played Crazy Taxi, you've more or less played this game. It has been unanimously described as a Crazy Taxi clone, so much so that Sega, who owned the rights to Crazy Taxi, brought a lawsuit to the creators of the game as they were the owners of the Crazy Taxi IP, and they said it was a patent infringement, as the gameplay was nearly identical. Same game engine, same everything. The case eventually did not go to court. It was settled for an undisclosed amount in mediation, and I've searched and searched the internet and I cannot find any further information anywhere. However, if it was settled, Sega must have had a point. And honestly, playing the game, you'll see it. This came out on the PlayStation 2, the original Xbox, the GameCube, and there was even a Game Boy Advance version, which isn't actually too bad. If you get a chance to give it a go, it's alright for a laugh. There are 3 modes you can play. Now in each mode, you get the choice to play as either Homer, Bart, Lisa, or Marge. However, you do get to unlock additional Springfield characters as you go, and they all have their own individual wacky motormobiles. Choose from one of 3 play modes. The first of all is Sunday Drive. This is the most relaxed mode of Road Rage, but it is worth playing as it lets you have a nice good look at the Springfield sandbox upon which the entire game takes place, with no timer, and you can still do the missions where you pick up the characters and take them from A to B. It's actually quite good fun because the Springfield sandbox this is set in is quite well done. It's not as in-depth as Hit and Runs, but this was 2 years earlier. But it's still nice. There's plenty of Easter eggs to find from the TV show, especially if you were watching it around the time that this game was made, when I dare say it was probably slightly better than it is now, but it's still good. Graphically, obviously remember it's a PlayStation 2 game. I would say it's average for the time, certainly not bad. The driving mechanics I would personally describe as quite good. They're fairly responsive. For the most part, driving around's good fun. I didn't have any major issues with it at all. So, considering this is a driving game, the fact they got the mechanics right, it's a sign of things being done right. The second game mode you will find is missions. These won't last terribly long for you, but they're also relatively good fun. Driving as Willie and his tractor and running over news booths to avoid spread of disinformation from Mr. Burns, getting Homer to work nice and quickly without him being noticed, driving as a very drunk Barney to destroy all the capital city goofballs because he's drunk and that's what you gotta do. They're okay, I quite enjoy them to be fair, and you do get a bonus car when you complete it. You get the car that Homer designed himself in the episode Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?, where Homer's brother Herb is voiced by Danny DeVito.
Ladies and gentlemen, presenting the car designed for the average man, the Homer.
It's a nice little bonus. And if you're going to play them anyway, because they're quite good fun, why not? There's also local multiplayer if you've got a second PS2 or whatever console you choose to play remote and someone to play with you. It's alright for a laugh for sort of 20 minutes, half an hour maybe. And of course you've then got the main game mode, cleverly called Road Rage, the title of the game. It works. As with Crazy Taxi, your goal is simple. Pick up as many people as you can, get them to their destinations before the time runs out. Once you pick up somebody and get them to their destination, you are rewarded with money, you are rewarded with a driver rating, and you get additional time to allow you to seek out another fare and then get that one completed as well. It's very much arcade style, as Crazy Taxi was, so short bursts of gameplay as opposed to one long game. It's initially quite good fun picking up the different characters. Whoever you choose to drive as, say Homer for example, if you pick up Bart or Milhouse, they'll recognise each other and have a brief conversation. And initially just for general reasons for picking them up, for example, Mrs. Krabappel, I've had a terrible day, get me to a bar. Pick up Chief Wiggum, get me to the Maison Derriere. The game's been written by the Simpsons people and it's voiced by the voice actors, and it shows. It's a nice thing to have. I will say the dialogue does get rather repetitive rather quickly, but that's something you have to accept for a game of the time. Story-wise, considering it is from The Simpsons, it's quite bare bones really. When you start, you get a cutscene which explains it all, but in short, Mr. Burns has bought the entire transit system for Springfield. And part of Mr. Burns' purchases are the buses, which he's replaced with radioactive ones, and, well, they're quite obviously dangerous to the public health.
Behold the Burns Atomic Megabus. Faster, cheaper, and completely safe.
Please kill me.
Therefore, the citizens of Springfield have got no choice other than to use their own vehicles. Mr. Burns doesn't like this, so when you are driving around, not only will you have to look out for these radioactive buses, but he will try to ram you off the road in his limo.
What's the meaning of this? Throw that infernal contraption in the landfill and ride my bus.
And whilst you can't destroy your car, he could obviously prevent you hitting your destination in the time you need to, therefore causing you to fail early. The goal of the citizens of Springfield is very simple. Earn enough money to buy back the transit system from Mr. Burns, get rid of those dangerous radioactive buses, and let all return to normal. The total you need? $1 million. It does take quite a bit of time to earn this amount. However, when you do get a special cutscene, which I'd love to show you, but I've not completed the game yet, so I can't. It's probably on YouTube if you want to see it. It does keep you coming back for more and more. As I said, the game is very arcade-like, with each run only lasting a short amount of time. However, this is probably the main problem with the game. Even in the PlayStation 2 6th generation era, and certainly now, we've come to expect quite a bit more than our games. We expect maybe a longer experience, or certainly something a bit more immersive than just 5 to 10 minutes of playtime, which does get repetitive, I'm afraid to say. And that's about it. The only thing that carries over is unlocking the characters, but aside from some dialogue choices and obviously the cosmetics, it doesn't really make any difference to gameplay. Even most roguelikes now, which are the best example I can give of something where you keep repeating levels, they have more to offer in terms of world building, gameplay, story, variety, etc. I don't think the problem is with this game necessarily, as much as the entire Crazy Taxi-esque mechanic itself has just aged rather poorly. I personally feel that games have moved on from this. It was probably a little bit dated when it was brought out as a mechanic and an entire game style, where you just want something a bit more. As I've said, it is a fun little arcade style game, best played in short bursts because you're not going to want to sit and play it for hours on end, I dare say. And it's not too expensive to pick up either. So if you want to get it for your collection, it is certainly not a bad buy. For the price that you can pick this up for, there's a lot worse out there. But I dare say, once you've played it a few times, long term, it's probably just going to sit on your shelf. Unless you've got a buddy who really likes to come round and play with you in co-op multiplayer for 20 minutes, half an hour, whenever he comes round, and you can have a bit of a laugh with it. Maybe turn it into a drinking game. That's not a bad idea. Honestly, my advice is, if you want it for your collection, pick it up, just set your expectations at a reasonable level. However, if you're only looking to add 1 or 2 Simpsons games to your collection, Hit and Run is by far and away the best you can do, and a very close second is the Simpsons game itself. The Simpsons Hit and Run. Widely regarded as the best Simpsons tie-in game ever made, for very good reason, this is a game still talked about and praised today. And, having recently just replayed it myself, you can have just as much fun today as you did when it first came out as well. It came out on various platforms, GameCube, PS2, original Xbox. It's easy enough to get a hold of, although it is the most expensive Simpsons game at the moment, but worth the money in my humble opinion, and it is a full-on open world fun fest. The game itself, like many other games at the time, took great inspiration from Grand Theft Auto 3. Now, no, you're not going around shooting people, running people over, that sort of thing. It's kept Simpsons age appropriate. But that actually helps make it something unique. It's definitely not a GTA clone. You can become one of the Simpsons family. I think Homer's probably regarded as most of our favourites. Let me know in the comments your favourite Simpsons character. And hey, why not give me a like as well? Obviously I'm not going to do any spoilers because I want you to play this game if you haven't already. But you're basically there as the Simpsons family witnessing some rather strange events happen. So you go out to investigate. And yes, you do find a bit of a conspiracy there at the source of it all from some familiar faces. And actually, I think it's the familiar faces, which is one of the first things to mention, which make this game so great. The Simpsons has a fantastic supporting cast of characters, and you get to interact with a great many of them, whether it's giving you missions, sending you off to do things in a timed fashion, or a fetch quest, or giving you information about your own quest to find out what exactly is going on in Springfield. The interactions are fun. It feels like you're playing an elongated episode of the programme. The voice acting is absolutely spot on as well. It just works. It is the closest you will get in a video game to playing in the Simpsons world. And speaking of the world, yes, it is open world. The main thing that people tend to enjoy about the game isn't the missions, although they are good fun to do, it's exploring Springfield. It's getting in a car, and yes, you've got a variety of cars you can choose from. A la Grand Theft Auto, you can help yourself to ones as well. And you can get out there, cause a bit of destruction. There's plenty of collectibles and Easter eggs along the way to come across. And just drive around Springfield. Who wouldn't want to do that? The exploration is probably the key part to the game. So if and when you do play it, do have a good look around because it's, dare I say, the most fun. That said, of course, there is a story to play through, which I personally find quite engaging. If they made I don't want to say a movie, because I don't think they're going to make another Simpsons movie, but a special longer episode and decided to make it with this storyline, it could be one of the best ever. Get out there and find out what's happening to Springfield and its citizens. Race against the clock, race other Springfielders. Perform stunts, destroy or at least stop by damaging other vehicles, all in your quest along the way. Maybe do half an hour, 3 or 4 missions, get the main plot progressed, get yourself intrigued, and then just disappear doing side missions for an hour. There's plenty of other subplots to enjoy, and they're all full of brilliant Springfield Simpsons wackiness. Your playable characters are Homer, of course. You actually get to be him twice. You get to be Bart twice as well. Lisa, Marge, and a good friend of the family, Apu Nahasapima Petalon. Just be wary, because if you cause too much damage and you cause too much chaos, your hit and run meter will fill up and you'll have Chief Wiggum and the Springfield Police Department to answer to. And unlike in the cartoon, they're surprisingly competent at catching and crashing into you. I always have a great time playing this game. There's nothing wrong with still being a fan of The Simpsons after all this time. And if you want to have some prime Simpsons when it was absolutely at its best, but you don't want to re-watch the show because you've seen it just a few too many times, why not give this game a go? It's as good today as it was when it came out. And I think it could be the best licensed video game ever made. I finally picked up and played The Simpsons Skateboarding. Now, as we all know, The Simpsons has never been afraid to parody things. In fact, some of their best shows, like the Treehouse of Horrors, are parodies and their own slant, let's say, on popular things. And it's far from unusual for a licensed game to go with a style that already exists. They go with what they feel will fit their particular style best. For example, Alias is a spy series, so they made a spy game. Well, The Simpsons had a go in a few different ones. Obviously, there was the crazy taxi clone of The Simpsons Road Rage. We've had the WWF copying Simpsons Wrestling, the GTA-esque Hit and Run. So this time, they decided to copy Tony Hawk.
Hey, are you skateboarding legend Tony Hawk?
That's what my business cards say.
Let's have a play and see if they pulled it off. So as you go through with this, you can play as any of 4. You can either be Bart, Homer, Marge or Lisa. They've left Maggie off this one, which probably isn't a bad thing because a game where a baby constantly faceplants on the floor might not go the best. I go with Bart because it seems to make most sense to me as the character, and also if you look through the different stats of the characters, Homer's jumping is rubbish, and if you try playing with him it does make it a lot more difficult. That said, as you play through the game you can increase the stats on your individual character who you're playing as well as unlock some others. But be warned, these improvements only go to the character that you've improved with. So if you do change halfway through, for example, if you unlock Krusty or you decide you want to go from playing as Bart to Homer, you've got to start again improving the stats, which generally means starting off with the skill school from 0 and all sorts. A bit repetitive, but unfortunately, repetitive is what this game's largely about. It released in November 2002, roughly a year after Road Rage. Whether you feel the style's as good or not is up to you. I think it's roughly on par. It gives different areas with a semi-open feel, so I suppose open zone would be the best one to go with there. The skill school, as you start with, is actually quite good fun, especially if you go into it as brand new to the game. You got Principal Skinner, who's constantly berating you whenever you fall off or mess up, and it gets you to familiarise yourself with the way the game plays, different moves available, things like that. After completing Skill School, you then go into the open zones. You'll see me here in the first one, all representing different areas of Springfield, and I don't think it's done badly personally. You'll get Kent Brockman there as the commentator. Basically, he just calls out the name of the trick after you do it. And you will, if you fall over, for example, get repetitive things from your character. Bart constantly keeps saying my butt hurts because I'm not very good at this game and I fall off a lot, as you can probably see. And then we get into the nitty gritty. And this is not a lot that this game offers, if I'm perfectly honest. You can see what they've done. If anybody played the Tony Hawk games around this era, they've left it so you can explore around their zone of Springfield. Tony Hawk's, you could explore the areas you were in. You can unlock, actually, as well, secret areas, which is okay, it's not bad. But it's mainly just a big collectathon. You're given an arrow to go around and collect various different things. As you play through, they get slightly more difficult to collect. You have to do certain tricks to get to them, or jump certain heights to get to them as well. You'll even find as you play through, but you can only get to certain collectibles by taking a certain route and doing tricks to get there. A lot of it's jumping and grinding, which does at least give it a bit of a difficulty curve. The only other thing you'll find is you'll see a clock. If you collect this clock, you've got a limited amount of time to get over a certain amount of points. And of course, points are collected by performing different tricks, combos, things like that. The controls themselves, they're a little bit clunky, to be honest. I might just not be very good at the game. In fact, I know I'm not very good at the game. They didn't feel terrible, but they're very imprecise. I feel that for the type of game it is, they should have been improved upon, at least some from what they are, because it makes performing tricks and getting to these collectibles by performing the tricks you have to unnecessarily frustrating. The biggest problem with this game is it's just not very entertaining, which is absolutely the wrong thing to be saying about The Simpsons. Let's face it, they've been going at this stage for over 30 years, they've got hundreds of episodes. I know there's a big opinion there about whether it's as good as it used to be and whether it should still be going, but it's still relatively entertaining to watch. The game should be entertaining to play, but I got bored really, really quickly. And that's just not what you want from any video game, especially a licensed game, which is already based on something that's already entertaining, supposedly. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's the game showing its age, but now we expect more than just a simple collectathon. We expect a bit more depth, we expect a bit more variety with our games. But I'm someone who plays quite a lot of retro games, so I don't think that's the problem. I think generally, at least in my opinion, feel free to correct me in the comments, the biggest problem with this game is it's dull. The novelty of pulling off the tricks wears off relatively quickly, and there's not a huge variety of them either. The areas are fun to explore for a while, but you get frustrated trying to get to the places you need to because the controls are clunky, and no matter how you know you're pressing the right button at the right time, it's not registering it in time. This is just a bit of a cash grab. I like licensed games, they're a bit of a guilty pleasure of mine. I love The Simpsons, but the only good thing I can really say about this is it's cheap. So if you wanted to complete your Simpsons set, leave it till last, and it won't cost you much to have it sitting on the shelf. Because I don't think you're going to be taking it out and playing it very often. So far, this is the worst Simpsons game I've played. At the minute, Simpsons Skateboarding is firmly in last place as the worst Simpson game I've played, and possibly one of the worst licensed games I've played. Well, this game was everywhere. It was on the PlayStation 2, the PlayStation 3, the Xbox 360, the Wii, the DS, and the PlayStation Portable. It got around. They pushed it hard, and I've got to say, whilst it isn't hit and run, that will forever be the #1 Simpsons game, I believe, it's also very good. It's worth your time, it's worth playing, and it's not expensive to pick up on whatever console you so choose. So, I'm going to show you a bit of gameplay and tell you all about it. After the tutorial, you take on 2 members of the family in each level, and this interchanges between them all. You can change which member you're playing as as you go, and you will need to use both characters to solve environmental platforming style puzzles. When you're not controlling a character, the AI takes over. If they die, they come straight back. It's a system that seems to work reasonably well. As I said, you are playing as every character in The Simpsons, and each character has special abilities. Now, you do expand these as the game goes, but just to begin with, you start off as Homer, and his ability is to become an unstoppable ball. Bart becomes Bartman, who you might be familiar with if you've read any of the Simpsons comics. And he's got some Batman-esque powers in there, such as grapple hooks, gliding ability, in fact some general climbing abilities the other characters don't have as well. Lisa, she's got her trusty saxophone, which can stun enemies and then can do more to them as you progress. And she also has Buddha powers, where if you find a shrine, it enables you to use the Hand of Buddha to pick up and put down heavy objects, usually used as part of puzzle solving. And Marge. She has a megaphone with her, which means that when she comes into any other Springfield residence, she can basically command them to do what she wants them to do. Basically, sit them on your enemies, tell them to destroy certain targets. And with Marge also comes Maggie. Marge uses Maggie, so when she finds an area that she can't get to, for example a ventilation duct, she'll send Maggie in, and then you take over controlling Maggie. Yes, I know it's not good parenting, but it's a video game based on a cartoon, so let it go. You've got 16 levels throughout called episodes, and after you go through the initial tutorial, this happens.
Well, we're here, and it only took 300 decasols.
You're the one who made us stop to visit your mother in space.
Why do we always argue on spacecations?
You're right, let's kill and space up. Bet they're here to take our jobs.
Guys, listen. We've been given special powers. And if lazily written movies have taught me anything, it's that with superpowers come super responsibilities. So, on behalf of the town, let's go kick some alien butts. If they have butts to kick.
Now, our powers aren't strong enough. We need to stop these spaceships. And there's only one person in Springfield who's smart enough to figure out how. I drank blue juice from under the sink.
Oh, let's just find Professor Frink.
It's got the original voice artists, and as you would expect with the Simpsons game, the writing is absolutely top-notch. They've done a brilliant job of making you feel like you're playing through an extended Halloween episode. At least that's what I've taken it from. It takes a very satirical approach. So it begins with Bart finding the Simpsons game manual. He reads it through and realises that he and his family can have special abilities or special superpowers. So he tells them all about it, and that's how they begin. After the invasion takes place near the beginning of the game, they decide to use their powers to stop what's going on. Take out the aliens, take out the mascots that's come to life, the dolphin uprising, and anything else that might need doing. And they of course encounter various Springfield residents along the way, helping them in their travels. It's a platform beat-em-up at heart, in 3D, not 2D, although that said, the DS and I think the PSP version is also 2D. I know the DS definitely is. Collectibles are abound along the way, and they uncover extra cutscenes to help build up the episode, so you do get some bonus content, which makes it worthwhile, because the writing on this is great. It's really funny, actually. They should make an episode of this game's plot, because it would be better than some of the more recent episodes, in my humble opinion. In general, it's good fun. I do have a criticism of this game, and that is the camera absolutely sucks. It's like the biggest enemy that you're combating throughout playing this game. You'll want it to go one way, it won't go, suddenly it'll slow down. It's a bit like playing the early Tomb Raider games when you just can't see where you're jumping to and you can't position the camera so you can. You'll get used to it though and it won't spoil your fun. I think you do have to be a Simpsons fan to get the most out of this, because the Simpsons style of humour, playing as the characters, the writing, it's there for the fans. One of my favourite little touches is that when you're playing the game, in between missions, you can actually explore the Simpsons house and the back garden and surrounding area, because you're looking for a ray of light, and going into that then sets off your next episode, your next mission. I really like that. It's the first game, and in fact the only game that I'm aware of, where you actually get to explore the Simpsons home. It's a nice touch. It's there for the fans, and it's something I enjoyed. Ultimately, I really enjoyed this game. I've played through it a few times. I started playing it to capture the footage which you've been watching, and I'm probably going to play it through again now I've started, because it's reminded me just how much fun it is. We can easily fall into the trap of only talking about one game in a series. In this case, Hit and Run. And whilst I love that game, and it's still my favourite Simpsons game, there's other good ones out there too, and I do consider this one of them. But let me know what you think in the comments. Have you ever played this? Do you fancy giving it a go? If you have played it, do you think it's good fun like I do, or just licensed fodder? No wrong answers. Games are for everybody, and the only right way to play games is to have fun. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you'd like to press like or subscribe, I'd be very grateful. If not, you have my gratitude alone just for watching through. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to watch my video, and I hope I get to see you in the next one. Ta-da!